So we are back with part 2 discussing how financial planning works and getting some understanding of what makes it actually worth investing in. I had a good chance to chat with Bradford Ferguson over the weekend at the Michigan Tesla Owners Club Summer Meetup, a fantastic event. And we're going to find out a little bit more about some of the stuff we discussed on Saturday. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza. So Bradford, you said there were 4 big things that you guys do that makes it all valuable and helpful. What are the 4 things? Let's start with number 1.
So at rebellionaire.com, we help out people who are all in Tesla or NVIDIA. And what we do is adding and trimming. So what a lot of investors do is they just hodl. They don't take advantage of the emotional ups and downs in a stock. So with Tesla, we know it's volatile. It seems like every year it goes up or down, or it goes down by 60 to 40% from a high. And so like if you're just hodling, you're not taking advantage of those opportunities. And what people who are true like Tesla bulls worry about is that they trim and then the stock never goes down, and they end up like adding the money back at higher levels.
And that can happen.
Yeah.
But what I've seen, and we've all done this, we've all looked at it and said, when it got to 400, what if I sold then and then bought back at 100? No one can do that. We're not superhuman. If you meet someone who has, they're lucky or lying.
Yeah.
But what about not selling at 400, but selling a small percentage at 350 and buying it back at 320, for example?
Yeah.
And that's is that what we're talking about?
That's a small win. Yeah, that's what you're hoping to do when you're managing your risk is, trimming when everyone's just like overly excited, when you get in a space on X and people are just like thinking the good times never end and that it's just like to the moon from here. And so we looked at capitalize on that and just manage our risk. There's a lot of people who wish they sold around 300.
Right.
Or wish they trimmed then, and so that's what we're trying to do with adding and trimming is just manage that all-in risk that people have.
So what I look at is, I don't look at the daily movement because I can't see a pattern in it. I just see chaos, and so when I'm looking at it, saying, my thought is, I know that over a 10-year horizon, I can't see a company in a better position to disrupt as many industries as thoroughly and successfully as Tesla. That's my opinion. But knowing when the market is being, like when the Hertz announcement came out, I had a theory that they might be getting a little bit of hype, that it might be starting to look a little more exciting to when everybody's talking about it, including people who don't know anything.
Yeah.
It might be overhyped.
Yeah.
So how do you spot those kinds of times?
So I've been investing for others for 19 years. That's a long time. And that's the only thing I've done professionally for the last 19 years. So what I look at is what people are saying and how they're saying it and who is saying it. So people will have a way of speaking to us, like there were some bulls who sold recently leading up to the shareholder meeting for Tesla, and they were selling because of fear that they thought that the vote would not pass. I tweeted that I thought it was highly likely it would pass. I said 99% chance. But when you have someone who's bullish and you've trusted them to be bullish over the years and suddenly they're bearish, that's a sign that sentiment might be low.
Yeah.
So it's not scientific what I do, but it's looking at all the sources that we've developed over time and reading into that. I think Tesla is going to be permanently undervalued for many, many years. With the potential for autonomy, with driving cars, with the potential for humanoid bots, I don't think it'll ever be fully valued where you could say it's fairly valued to their potential. So I think there's going to be these opportunities along the way to do trimming and adding to add to your shares over time. Like that's a goal to add to shares.
So I saw Gary Black dropped a note saying it's true that Wall Street is not modeling robotaxi or really Optimus, and they won't until there's revenue. And I guess part of our job as individuals in charge of our own money is to determine what that's all worth.
Yeah.
I guess. And I mean, how do we do that? Does Matt work on that? Is that a thing you guys think about?
Yeah, we added Matt because Matt's really good at valuation work.
Matt Smith, by the way.
Yeah. So he's really good at valuation work. He can model things in a detailed way on a spreadsheet. He used to have this YouTube channel before he started with Emmett Peppers called Spark Spread, where he had like some of the best financial modeling that I've seen for Tesla. So when we're looking at a company, we look to model it financially if we can. Like sometimes things can be very speculative, but we might put together like some napkin math on different opportunities, like whether it's Optimus or autonomy or Tesla's megapacks.
Sure. And you go, well, great, that's a couple things, but what else is there? It's infinite. It's Dojo as a service. It's licensing chip design. It's licensing FSD. It's any number of variables. And if there's things that are important to you, I imagine you can consider them as well. So what are the other things that you do other than adding and trimming for emotional reasons and understanding how to avoid hype or profit from it? What are the other three things? The next one, I guess.
So the next one is cover calls.
Okay.
So people that we work with who are long Tesla or NVIDIA, they're already long the stock, and that has a certain payout to it. But what you can do is you can write cover calls on a short-term basis. And what that means is, let's say Tesla's at 180 a share. You could say, well, I don't think it's going to go to 210 in 1 week.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Sure.
Or 195. Or you think it's, it could happen, but you think the risk is worth it. So we'll do that to generate some income on a weekly basis with the goal of either adding the shares or defraying like someone's spending or paying for someone's RMDs. Like that's the reason why we do it. And what we've done is we've done a ton of research on the history of Tesla stock options. And what we found was even in 2020, when the stock went up 730%, there was a sweet spot that you could have sold cover calls at and still added to just a hodl approach where it added to your shares in 2020, which really surprised us when we looked at the data.
So I would offer the perspective that options trading without a Sherpa, without a financial guru to show you the path, is gambling. Because I've seen too many people who watched a video and said, now I understand it better than the algorithms and the professionals. And I think I would suggest that that's a crazy idea. Would you agree?
Generally, yes. Otherwise, you have to like really study options for like six to 12 months and like really immerse yourself into it.
And even then, I mean, you could just consult with a professional for crying out loud. Item 3, what's that?
That's adding other companies. So
sure.
Some might call it diversification or diversification. But what we do is Tesla isn't the only thing we research. We have time to look at other things beyond just Tesla. There's only so much Tesla news in a day, and Brian's got you covered for that.
Don't I know there's only so much?
And so what we do is we look into other opportunities, because what investing in Tesla caused Matt Smith and I to learn is that Wall Street is not very good at valuing companies. They perpetually are underestimating companies, in our opinion. They tend to be too conservative. You have to prove it. You got to be able to show, oh, well, for sure the profits are going to be this, next year or next quarter, whereas we can look further out,
Right.
and retail has that latitude to do that, is to look further out, have a little more imagination, creativity, and find other opportunities. So there's other opportunities we talked about on our YouTube channel. That doesn't mean they're an investment for you, but that's where you can find that. We've also tweeted about it. We were pretty early on NVIDIA for one. Not everything we looked at has worked, but it generally we feel it's added to performance over time. And that's why we do it. Like, the ultimate goal is to add to shares over time.
Well, and the thing I noticed by looking at your other research is it gives me an understanding of your approach and how you and Matt are able to analyze and view things. And yeah, there's an important thing to remember with
It's a little
those.
steamy out.
It's a little, yeah, we're close.
Little steam
I
here.
saw a sign that said Kokomo, and I thought, boy, this weather does feel about right. The thing I saw was when you look at all these brilliant Wall Street analysts, you have to remember that their goal is next quarter. That's it. That's all they care about. And if you're planning to retire next quarter, that's maybe the advice.
And have it
fits.
last you one quarter.
And have it last you one quarter. But my plan is to retire when I reach retirement age. So I need a strategy that looks a little further out than next quarter.
Yeah, and even when you retire, like if you're a couple, you need your money to last you 25 to 30 years potentially from that moment you retire, because typically one of you is going to live that long.
Right.
So you need your money to be growing that long, because like your medical costs for one are going up over time. And the fourth thing that we didn't talk about was financial planning, where instead of just tracking where your accounts are today, like how much money you have today, and like having this dream that Tesla or NVIDIA does this in the future, we look at a hardcore projection and have a reasonable assumption on return to see how far your finances get you today after modeling in specific dollars and dates to your plan. So it's a very rigorous approach that we have, and our financial planners specialize in it.
So what I hear Bradford saying here is, if you've been to another financial planner and they scolded you because you put money into Tesla,
which is crazy because you won to Wall Street.
yeah,
Generally.
yeah. Well, I see these stories. Oh, so and so is insider trading or scamming their own company or something, and I look at it and I go, I beat their returns and I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a little smart, but not that smart. Let's be honest. So for more information, I'm going to say link in the description to the
Rebellionaire.com.
channel. Well, Rebellionaire.com.
And
also,
Rebellionaire channel on YouTube.
where there's all kinds of information. I'll throw your X link in there as well. And this certainly hasn't been financial advice. I don't give financial advice, even to my friends and family, because what I've found is when it goes up, it's because they're smart, and when it goes down, it's because I'm stupid. And I'm not going to play that game. So what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it in the comments below. And everybody else, like, subscribe, smack a thumb or something. Even a down one, it doesn't bother me. They're just decorative. And stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the flippity flop.